Okay, this morning for our morning quick read, we are going to be covering the story, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. As you read through the story, I would like for you to look for certain vocabulary words. We will be looking for approach. When you see this, I want to see if you can tell through the context what approach means, what moral means, and what stray means. We're going to read this as it's a short story, and then we will figure out what these words mean, and then we're going to find out what is the theme of the story. It says, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. The shepherd boy watched the flock of sheep day by day and slept with them at night. His only relief came at dinner time, when his master's wife came by with his dinner wrapped in a cloth. The shepherd boy was tired of working all the time. It wasn't really difficult work, but it was tedious. Tedious means very detailed. His job was to watch the sheep, and if one strayed, to guide it back to the flock. He also had to be on the lookout for wolves and ready to run for help if one approached. Now, in that paragraph, we did see some of our words. We saw strayed, which they used it. And what does ed do? That's a suffix, which gives a what type of tense? Very good. Past tense. So they used stray as strayed. And what do you think that means in this sentence? It said if one strayed, to guide it back to the flock. So talk about a sheep. Yes, you're right. Strayed also means like got away. So we'll just put got away or out of line. Very good. Got away, out of line. These are very good choices. And then we also saw approach. This sentence says, he also had to be on the lookout for wolves and ready to run for help if one approached. Yes, that is past tense also, meaning they used approached in the story, which, how is that used in this context? Yes, that's right, comes close. So we'll come over here, that's our vocabulary word, and we'll say gets close. Very good. All right, let's keep going. The boy was lonely and bored. One afternoon, he had an idea that he hoped would put an end to his loneliness. He ran into the village and yelled, "Wolf, wolf!" The townspeople ran with him to the field. They spent hours looking for the beast, behind briars and rock, but there was no wolf. The boy had enjoyed having all the people with him and was sad to see them return to town. A week later, he was again feeling bored and lonely. He ran into the village and yelled, "Wolf, wolf!" Again, the people followed him back to the field. Again, there was no wolf. The mayor yelled at him, "Don't come into the town again with your tales. The people are too busy for your games." It seemed to the boy that he would never have visitors again. The next week, he sat watching his sheep. Suddenly, a wolf ran out from the forest. It headed straight for his flock. He ran as fast as he could into town. "Wolf, wolf!" he screamed, but no one came. "There really is a wolf. Please help," he pleaded. But the people turned their backs to him. And for here, it says, moral, it says, once you lie, people won't believe when you tell the truth. There's another one of our words, moral. So what do you think moral means? At the end of the story, it says the moral, once you lie, people won't believe you when you tell the truth. And they use it in the same tense. Very good job. Moral means, that's right, a lesson. It's like a lesson learned. A lesson learned. That can mean a moral. So the moral of the story is if you lie, if you lie all the time, people won't believe you. So we have our vocabulary words. Now let's talk about this. What is the theme of this story? If it's a story that is giving us a moral, what is the author saying, or what kind of text is this that the author has written? Can anybody think of that? What kind of stories give us morals or lessons? Yes, fables. Fables give us, sorry, make that look nicer. Fables are stories that are morals. They give us a lesson. Every story that is a fable has a lesson followed behind it. You are absolutely right. Now, when it comes to this, how do we know this is a fable? Well, we can go back into our text, and some of the things is that it talks about a boy. We know that this is already that's right, it's fiction. With it being fiction, a fable is sometimes fiction. And the details, it says, determine the theme from the details. From the details, it's a story that is giving us where the boy did a couple things wrong. And then by his wrong choices, he didn't have anybody to help. So it's the summary of the story. When we talk about the boy who cried wolf, that would be our fable, which is the theme. This equals the theme. So we'll put your theme right here. And we know by in the text the stories that he went through. We know that the first time he cried wolf, he wanted to fake it so that way he'd have people see him because he was lonely. So this is where we go into our questions. Based on our story right here, which was the rising action of the story? Was it that the boy slept with the sheep at night? Or did he lie to the townspeople? Did he look for wolves? Or was it that dinner was brought to him? When it's the boy who cried wolf, the rising action, we're going to put rising action. What is that? What did he do? The rising and the action. What did he do in the story that made it such a rising action? That's right. He lied. Lied to the townspeople. Lied to townspeople. Very good. Where does this take place? Well, by reading this, hearing that he was near where? They said the wolves came out of a forest, right? The boy was lonely. What was he doing on the field? Yes, watching sheep. Do we see sheep in a city? No. That's how we know that this is taking place in an urban area. Or suburban, more like suburban, around the city, or more rural. Very good. And did the boy's job contribute to his problem? Well, what was the boy's job? We'll get rid of some of this. We know that the rising action was lying. That's right. Oh, the boy's job, we'll say his job, boy's job. What was it? He was to look out for, we'll say, look out for wolves. Correct. This was his job. That's all he had to do. And when he lied about it, this is all he had to do. Why did he have to look out for wolves? Because they wanted their sheep. Very good. So, the only job that he had to do was look for the sheep. So did the boy's job contribute to the problem? If his job, how long did he watch the sheep? If we go back to the reading, it says, the shepherd boy watched the flock of sheep by day and slept with them at night. So it was all the time. So the boy's job was to look out for wolves. Yes, or stay with the sheep. Stay with the sheep. Yes, 24/7. That works for me. 24/7. So he was supposed to stay with him, take care of him, to look out for wolves. So did his job contribute to the problem? Well, let's think about it. Was the boy lost the sheep? Was his job losing the sheep? No, his job was to watch for them and to keep wolves away. There was a wolf near the sheep. Was his job, if there was a wolf near the sheep, his job was to look out for them, right? The fact that he worked alone all the time, was that a contribution to what happened? Do you think working all the time like that was why he lost the sheep? Or do you think that he was hungry and tired? The biggest thing is that the boy, he lost the sheep where he had to work alone all day and night. So because he worked by himself, that is why he lied. He wanted people near him. And then it says, how can we describe the boy? Was he mean? Was he mean trying to trick the people? Was he kind? Was he lonely? Was he silly? Well, if you go back in our context, the biggest thing inside here is it talks about that the boy was lonely. As it said right here, the boy was lonely and bored. I would be too if I had to sit around and watch sheep 24/7. So at the end of the story, the boy lost the trust of the townspeople, and how can this be solved and gain their trust again? This is your critical thinking. We know in our story that the boy had a job. He had to watch the sheep 24/7, keep the wolves away. Well, he lied about the first wolf appearance. He lied about the second wolf appearance. Now he had a real wolf appearance and they didn't show up. How can he fix that? Yes, it's difficult to find out how he could fix this after he did it. But is the moral, going back to one of our words, is a lesson learned. How can we use this story for this boy's lesson learned? How can we use this in today's life? That's right. Today's life, how we can use this is we can be honest and truthful. Very good. Because if you lie too much, it's like the boy that cried wolf. And that's why sometimes you'll hear people use the saying, the boy who cried wolf, is the same thing as saying, you say it too many times, nobody's going to believe you. All right. Do y'all have any questions about our quick read? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you.